Hello everybody, my name is Andrew and welcome to a special Zero Camp video about the January 2025 rules update for War Machine. This is part 3 in the series focusing on Crick's Necrofactorium. Alright, so this is going to be the shortest video in the series just because while we are focusing on one individual army for this particular video, only 3 models in Crick's Necrofactorium saw changes as they are the newest army on the block. Alright, so first we're going to talk about is Master Necrosurgeon Sepsiria. Realistically not a big change here. Her feat let you place an entire unit of Mechanothrall Swarm within 3 inches of her, now it's just within 2 inches of her. The Raptor Light Warjack sees changes to 3 of its options. 2 heads and 1 back option. So the Beaked Maw goes from reposition 2 to reposition 3, which is a pretty standard change we're going to see throughout most of the armies here as the updates go. A lot of those jacks lose reposition 2 and just pick up repo 3 instead. Big one here, the Doom Spitter head just picks up Eyeless Sight. So it gains Eyeless Sight on the jack, which is super nice. Again, we talked about it earlier. The Sentry card goes away. This is where Eyeless Sight comes back into play. And then the back option changed. The Light Spiker, the ranged weapon doesn't change as far as the damage or the output or anything like that. It does, however, gain damage type corrosion and the critical continuous corrosion effect. So it's a little more potentially jarring to, say, some heavier armor stuff. For those that do have resistance to corrosion out there, they're now a little less scary. That's a little bit corner case. Not really a big change there, though. The last, but probably and arguably the biggest change to the Crick's Necrofactorium, though, is the Furies. So the Furies has been a unit of 3 character models. They said, nah, that's probably not going to work out. So what they've done instead is that all 3 models now have the same profile. They all lost Battle Wizard. They all lost Wailing. And they all just gained Mortal Fear as an ability. It's no longer a spell they have to cast. So they all just have 8-inch bubbles of -2 damage to anything living, which is kind of silly. It also standardized their spell list. So all 3 of them now have the same spells, which is Marionette, Power of Death, and Sticking Abyss. So Invocation of Darkest Night and Grip of Shadows are gone. So effectively what that means for them is that they've been really streamlined. Since all 3 models now do the same thing, you don't have to worry about if I lose one, did I lose the one that grants Moral Fear, did I lose the one that grants Telemetry? Also, mostly because Telemetry is no longer a concern. Mortal Fear just happens now. But really, that's it. So it's the same unit. It's more consistent. They just have a trimmer toolkit to work with it. So this is going to be a big change for newer players in particular. They now have less to look at, less to digest when it comes to the Furies. For those of us that remember, say, the Wither Shadow Combine in Cricks, this is now much easier to digest. Again, a positive change. It's new player centric, and although veteran players may miss some of the tools, I think this is nothing but help for the game. It's going to make it easier, more streamlined to learn. And that concludes the Crick's Necrofactorium updates for the January 2025 rules. Overall, not a lot to talk about here. The Raptor just, without gaining points, got extra stuff, which is really cool. Sepsiria lost an inch of threat range on the Mechanothrall Swarm unit she brings in. Not super worried about that. They can still run to proc Gang Fighter with other stuff. You now can just still put another unit on the table, which is pretty solid. And the Furies, like I was just talking about, it's a streamlined thing. It's not meant to be a buff to them so much as just a quality of life change in the game to make things so much easier for players who are just picking it up and getting into it. So thank you very much for those of you that have watched this video. That concludes our part 3 of the January 2025 video series. Hopefully you stick around for the next part. We're going to talk about House Kalis for Dusk. Hopefully you watch all of them, but please feel free to like, subscribe, share. We are on our road to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube this year, so that way YouTube pays us to make content. So thank you for everyone that's watching, and we hope to catch you with the next video and our next stream.